Oh no, what's he doing now?
That's out.
Well, he's a man who really doesn't need any introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. In brief, first-class cricketer, ODI cricketer, test match cricketer, former professional umpire, domestic and international coach, broadcaster on both TV and radio, dad, grandfather, Sky's funny man, David Lloyd, Looney Tunes, Dave Ladd, Bumble. How are you in the Costa del Manchester? It looks gorgeous up there.
Well, it's a super day, but of course, things are not getting much better throughout the country, and we're still doing the right thing. We're staying in, and it seems to be going on for a pretty long time.
I use this term loosely, but are you managing to stay sane?
I'm doing lots of things. We've got lots of things to do, gardening and a bit of cycling, although I haven't fathomed the bike yet. The garden's looking good. Decorating, that's still to be done. We've had a go at decorating, and then when it rains, and it will rain, we'll get plenty of that, and then we'll start decorating.
You getting fed all right, though? People helping you out?
They're absolutely brilliant. We've got lots of friends who've been dropping things off in the front porch and so on. And it's the wedding anniversary today, and what an event last night. It was magnificent last night, I've got to tell you. We had a supermarket delivery. Yeah. Memorable.
What we're going to do is we're going to go through all the facets of your career in cricket, and as I mentioned at the top, there are many. Where did it all begin for you? Was it always cricket was your passion, or where did football sit in that?
Well, football, first and foremost, and I'm still very passionate about football. Accrington Stanley is my club. That's my hometown club. I always wanted to be a footballer and a cricketer. Cricket took over. I've done a thing this morning with a colleague of ours, digital, with Ollie Burley, Cricketing Heroes. I think Nasser did it, and he said David Gower. And I went back to Wesley Hall. West Hall, ferocious West Indies opening bowler, was the professional at Accrington Cricket Club. And I would say he was the one that got me really hooked. He was a fantastic fella, as we know Wes. He's a brilliant man. And I just recall 2 years ago, he's in his 80s. He got in touch and wanted to come back to Accrington Cricket Club. And so we did it. We got him up to the club. This is 2 years ago. And he came, and he's quite frail. He's on sticks. And the thing he wanted to do, this is a West Indies opening fast bowler, he wanted to mark his run-up out on sticks, and he did it at the cricket ground. It was fantastic to see him, and I've never seen the fella without a smile on his face.
You did a lovely video I saw yesterday about Accrington and Accrington Stanley. Tell us about your passion for the Stanley and Accrington in general.
Well, you know what it's like. I mean, you're a Chelmsford lad, but, that's it. That's your own club. I don't get it when folks, they go along and sometimes they support Leeds United. And sometimes I'm Accrington Stanley, that's my club. I absolutely love it. Going up Stanley, it's an event, it's a day. You go up the Stanley and you're seeing mates, and nobody bothers me. Nobody bothers me at all. I'm just stood behind the goals on one of the barriers. And then before, it's in the fan zone and there's a band playing, rocking away, real rock and roll. £2.50 a pint, and after the game they carry on, and if we've won, it's £1 a pint.
What was it like? What about the cricket club when you were a young lad? What about the older characters there that perhaps took you under your arm?
They were brilliant. It wasn't overs cricket. You played time cricket and declared, and of course they've got this likely lad, and you're playing against top professionals: Chester Watson, Charlie Griffiths, Roy Gilchrist, Chandu Bordy. They were magnificent names, these blokes who you would come up against and see. And I'm 15-year-old, 14-year-old, opening the batting. And I just got Barrett, get on with it. Well, I couldn't get on with it. But they let me open the batting. And I looked this morning, I had a full season, and I averaged 14.
What about moving into the Lancashire dressing room? What was that like? And what about the characters that you encountered when you first went in there?
The senior players I thought were terrific. Lads like Jeff Puller. Now, Jeff Puller was an England opening batsman. And he would know in his mind that this young kid who's just coming through the ranks, playing second 11 and batting number 8, number 6, number 5, number 2, this lad's going to take my job. Nevertheless, he taught me through it. He were like a mentor. He's the senior pro. You know, they always say, you know, you're not a cricketer until you've got a pair. I got it over very quickly in that first game.
But I'm going to bring Paul Allett in here because he's one of your mates from Lancashire days. What was it like travelling around and having Bumble around the dressing room, Walt?
Well, he was like he is now. He's the life and soul of the party. When I started at Lancashire in the late 70s, he'd been captain. He was on the downward spiral then. He'd been captain, and he had the most ridiculous curly perm. You'd never believe it looking at him now. But he had hair down to his shoulders, and it was all curly. But he was the character. He was the character in the dressing room. And when he finished, the place wasn't the same again because he was literally the live wire in the dressing room. It was always fun and frolics, even though he was the senior player.
You've always played down your career, and you've always been very humble about it. You know, Test double 100 against India, etc. Describe yourself as a player without being modest. And out of the modern-ish era, who would be like you?
I was ordinary. I were a bit like you, I think. You had purple patches. I keep going back to uncovered pitches, which, you know, you had to have a real defensive technique on uncovered pitches, and then, you know, pitches became more uniform. There were some good players around when I were around. John Edricks, Geoffrey Boycott. I were never going to get in unless one of them got injured. Geoffrey got injured and I were in form and I got the nod. So, you know, I had my moments of glory. But if I fell below my very best, I were never going to play. I wasn't good enough. If I were at my very best and there was an opportunity, I might get in. But I had my little season in the sun. It was great. That double 100 I got, I mean, if he hadn't declared, I'd have still been in now. He'd never have got me out. He'd never have got me out. He was
just
lovely.
Approaching 300.
Yeah. Hey, what about this virtual test that you just played? You got 11 in 70 balls. They were asking for the money back, the crowd.
Come on, Walt. Is he being modest about his playing career and his ability?
Definitely. Talk about the double 100 against India. He was a really top-notch player of spin. He really was. Obviously at international level, but brilliant against them in county cricket. One of the quirks of the England selectors, of course, selectorial policy in the 70s was that they used to pick the wrong man for the wrong job. And Bumble, of course, being the best player of spin, got picked to go and tour Australia against two fastest bowlers that have ever lived. He had to go out and face Lillian Thompson with a little pair of Stuart Surridge batting gloves, which are flimsy at best, a thigh pad that was probably the size of an A4 piece of paper, no inside thigh pad, a little pink box. Let's not talk about the Tomo story at Perth.
Has he mentioned it?
Not
no,
yet.
he faced Jeff Thompson. This is the first I've ever heard that he faced Jeff Thompson.
But that was a terror trip for batsmen, and he batted quite brilliantly against them, against the new ball, against some fearsome fast bowling. So there was far more to him than just being a good player of spin. He bowled some mean left-arm slow spin as well, and was a fantastic fielder, brave fielder, short leg. Used to stand in as close as you could possibly get. No helmets, no protective gear then. That's why he's not got any teeth now. But he was a great catcher. He caught a catch off me in my second ever first-class game. John Edrich at Leg Gully came bounding up to me. He said, Walt, he said, I might be getting on a bit, but I've still got putty hands. They stick. So he was a great all-rounder, good leader as well, and obviously hugely charismatic.
Who is this bloke he's on about?
Your left arm spin. Give us that little thing you used to do at the top of your run-up. What was it?
Yeah, see, I just used to shove my glasses back. And Warney, you know what Warney's like? He cons everybody with he's got a fluter, a zooter, a shooter, and a scooter.
And you've got the Uter.
I've got don't you start. I've got the Gazonner. I've got a Gazonner, which I'll tell you who bowled a Gazonner with good effect. Ashley Giles. It doesn't spin, it just goes on. That's the Gazonner.
The three questions I get most regularly asked at cricket grounds are: can you sign this, please, Nick? Where's Bumble? And where did Bumble get his nickname from? Tell us that story.
Michael Benteen, who used to be originally with the Goons, we're all way before your time, Wardy and Nass. But Harry Seek and Peter Sellers, all that lot, fantastic comedy programme on the radio initially. Michael Benteen went on and devised a puppet show called The Bumblies, which was on children's TV in the mid-60s, I would think. And it was all about puppets who had big, long noses. And I needn't say any more in the dressing room.
Bumblies is back. You won't be able to see this at home, but I've got a little screen where I've got all the lads on the right-hand side. Where did you go, Dave, lad? You just wandered off into the cart, and this is a programme about you, and there was an empty chair to speak to.
I forgot I'd left the sprinklers running. It's underwater.
We need a groundsman at Old Trafford. It's about the only thing you've not done in cricket, a bit of groundsmanship.
No, I'm your man. I need some seed as well, but, you know.
Oh, Matt will drop you off. Go and see Matt at Old Trafford. He'll get you some.
I can't go out, can I?
Oh, well, I'll get him to drop some round for you then.
He can't go out either. It's a not necessary journey. I'm just going round to drop some grass seed.
You're entertaining the public. It's essential. I'm going now. I've got to go anyway. Have a nice time.
Yes,
thank you for joining us.
Right. Go and put cricket right.
Put all of cricket right now. That's what I'm going to do.
Cheers, Wally.
Cheers, Walt.
Bye.
Bumble, what was that trip to Australia like?
It was great. We got hammered because they were better. They were a really good side. Thompson and Lilly, as you mentioned, they had good backup in Max Walker, a very good spinner in Ashley Mallett, brilliant captain in Ian Chappell. They were a real good side. Rodney Marsh was the wicket keeper. They were good fellas, good blokes. You know, that tradition of wandering into the dressing room, the fielding side after a day's play, and you know, a bit of a chat and a yarn, socialising. It was memorable. They were better. They beat us 4-1. The interesting thing is that the West Indies, a good West Indies side under Clive Lloyd, Michael Holding, Andy Roberts, a real top side, went immediately after us and they got beat 5.
How much did it mean to you playing for England?
Oh, I mean, it's an ambition, isn't it? Everybody's ambition. You start, you know, we're going into the rounds of what is county cricket. County cricket is the breeding ground of cricketers, however they become. If they're one-day cricketers, 2020, 100 cricketers, your grounding is in county cricket. You learn your business, you learn your trade, and you move on from there. So, you know, it's important that you have ambition to get to the very highest level. And what do? You work hard. There's no substitute. You just work every minute that you can to get better.
Who was the best player you saw?
Gary Sobers. The only way you'd get Gary out is to talk to him about the 3 o'clock at Ascot. and just to sidetrack him, if you could. I briefly played against Viv, of course. You know,
yeah.
very destructive, fantastic player. Fred Truman is an all-time hero from having played against him briefly, but worked with him in commentary boxes. He was outrageous, Fred. Absolutely brilliant. Box office, Fred Truman, box office, like Bill Lorry, you know, terrific. Great to work with, laugh a minute, just outrageous.
When you're playing career ended, just explain to people, you went into umpiring. How did that come about? Did you enjoy it? What sort of umpire were you?
I was an outer. I like to get it going, to keep it moving. I thoroughly enjoyed umpiring. We ruled the roost, no question about that. Nobody give you any back chat whatsoever. and it seems to have changed a little bit.
Thing is, though, Nas, you and I have proved that he wasn't a very good umpire in that feature we filmed in the indoor school at Lord's.
Utter nonsense. That was fixed.
That's absolutely perfect for what I'm looking for. It's pitched on. He's got about half a stride in. It's hitting below the knee ball, the knee roll. It's swung back in. I reckon that's hitting the top third of the stumps. Crikey, back now. Oh, dear me. Get your eyes tested.
That was a combination of how bad an umpire he was and how good a broadcaster he is. That was the funniest half hour I've had in my life away from a camera. I mean, that was absolutely, he was Bumble at his best, I have to be honest. Some of those impressions he was doing, some of the one-liners.
Harry Baldwin used to stand like this, and that was it all day. And at the end of the over, he'd call over, and then he'd go to square leg. And this is how he used to go to square leg. Keep it down.
Shows Bumble at his best light, just being naturally funny. You wouldn't have thought up any of those lines. He was just naturally funny. Very good half hour. That.
When he went into broadcasting, how did the pitch reports come about?
A lad who worked in our department at the time, Gus Williamson, who went into rugby. And we just used to devise all these, well, stupid. I think we'd had a drink, by the way.
As if by magic, Gus Williamson is here. You are the man responsible for these pitch reports. From your point of view, how did all that evolve? Good fun, I imagine.
A lot of fun. Hello, boys. Lovely to see you.
Hi, Gus.
I think most clubbies, they watch like Tony Gregg and he'd stick his car keys into the pitch. And we all started doing that. So we sort of, clubbies, and that was the sort of audience we were trying to reach, you know, grassroots cricketers, enthusiasts for the game. So I thought there's lots of stuff around pitch reports, lots of the language. You sort of got tennis ball bounce, trampoline bounce, ridges, cracks. So I would write what I thought were these very funny scripts. They were probably truly terrible, but Bumble being Bumble, and I, without blowing too much smoke up his backside, the only bloke I've worked with in sports television who is genuinely funny, I mean, talked earlier, but I think really Bumble's calling was probably sort of music hall variety shows. But so we would do these scripts and we'd go up and Bumble would drive us around Lancashire. We were trying to find a crack, to do a sort of spoof on a crack in the wicket. And we drove around, we ended up on the moors. I don't know where we were, Bumble, but we ended up on the moors and we found this like massive chasm.
Yeah.
And you popped up with like a miner's helmet on and a miner's hat.
Charles, I'm now down at the Stretford end where the main problem was, and as you can see, they've worked wonders, and I think it's more or less fit for play.
What were the other ones you do? And I'm just trying to think. The trampoline bounce, you were leaping up and down on a trampoline.
Yeah.
The sticky dog, where you put some sweet wrappers on a dog. Yeah, great fun though. What are the other ones? Can you remember some of the other ones?
We did one on a raging Turner. And we had a girl on our team who, incredibly bright, Oxford graduate. She's now doing great things with Sky News. She's a North of England correspondent, but we made her dress up as Tina Turner and sort of walk onto the pitch and give you a bit of a... It was a raging Turner.
Didn't we have some blankets on the ground as well? And we went in this cornfield and said that the ball's not running too well in the outfield, and then we lost the ball, we couldn't find it.
If you bowl a bad ball here, you will get punished, I can tell you. At the end of the day, spectators want to see boundaries. Back to you upstairs. Also want to see the ball as well. This is ridiculous. They'll be running 20s here. They'll never find it in this.
We did one at a dry ski slope up north as well.
Yeah, at Rosendale Ski Slope.
Yeah, we got you in your ski gear down the hill.
That's it, yeah. Oh, outrageous. They were brilliant.
And you always had your trusty cameraman, Arthur, with you.
I think it's a great name for a start, Arthur. There's a sitcom which is on BBC from time to time, and I think they've just took it off, which the crackers, if they are, Count Arthur Strong. He's a music hall entertainer from Doncaster. And so I like Count Arthur Strong, and if I can't think of anybody's name, I just call him Arthur. All right, Arthur.
The original cameraman's name, though, I think I'm right, and Gus, you might be able to back me up here. Was it Bob Blockley or something?
Yes.
Was he the original?
Did a few with Bobby, did a few with a few of the camera guys, actually, the Kane brothers up north. But the Arthur one, that was the one where, because he was always Arthur, we dressed him as King Arthur. And that was when we ended up under the covers with some of the Empire girls. Do you remember that one?
That's the one. That was it.
Let me have a look under here. Arthur, what are you doing? Get you ringing in sick, and this is where I find you. What's Guinevere going to say about all this? Clear up, get out of it. Get out of the way. I've never seen anything like it. Sorry, David. Win the toss and bat. What do I think? Well, I'll have to have a look under the covers myself. I think I need a bit of a closer inspection. Just bear with me a second. Oh, yeah. Oh.
We'd never get away with it now. Don't mention it.
Gus, you know broadcasters, you know commentators in all the fields that you've worked in, cricket, and obviously you're very senior in rugby. In terms of as a commentator, how does he rate?
Oh, he's absolutely one of the best. And I say, one of the only guys that can genuinely put humour in a situation with a very natural comic timing, but actually has an unbelievable ability to broadcast. And he's not just, the funny guy. He can do the big moments. I remember very vividly, I think the 2004 Champions Trophy.
Oh, beautiful shot. It's gone. They have won it. What a victory. What a magnificent victory for the West Indies. Gutsy effort. Oh, you feel sorry for the England boys, but brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Just look at these scenes here. They're doing all sorts of things. They'll not have a clue what they're doing. What a game of cricket that has been. England, West Indies, England winning the game, hands down. But Bradshaw and Brown, they're under there somewhere. There's not anybody left this ground. It's late September in England. They said you can't play cricket at this time. Have a look at that.
Fantastic piece of broadcasting. And just, we always say about Mikey, blessed with this incredible voice. Bumble's got a beautiful voice. It's a great, unique voice that lots of us like to impersonate. We won't get down that road just now, but it's a great voice. And if you've got a great voice in broadcasting, you've got a hell of a head start. You add on the fact that he's done every job in cricket, you've got a huge amount of credibility. And, everybody, if they're 8 or 80, always want to know where Bumble is. They love Bumble. He brings something utterly unique to broadcast. And it's that blend. I would say whenever you're putting together a panel or a commentary team, if you can just have that blend of personalities, then you get proper TV gold. And Bumble brings so much light and shade to a team.
What's he like to commentate with, Nas?
Brilliant. I agree with everything Gus says there, but Bumble as a human being, this is like an episode of This Is Your Life for Bumble.
It is a bit, yeah.
Some people in front of a camera behave one way, act one way, and then you go down the pub of an evening or you see them behind the scenes and they're nasty pieces of work or they're completely different. Bumble's not like that. The Bumble you see and you hear on your TV or on the radio is exactly the David Lloyd that we've known for 400 years or however long it's been. I agree with every word Gus has said there about calling a moment. He plays the fool, but he's no fool. So he'll give you the comic genius. He'll give you the songs on finals day.
Hands, touching hands, reaching out, touching me, touching you. Sweet Caroline, wah, bah, bah. Good times never seem so good.
When Stuart Broad's getting 8 for 15 at Trent Bridge, he calls it perfectly.
Oh, what a catch! Ben Stokes. Oh, they're tumbling all over the place. Australia 5 down.
But he also knows the moments to keep quiet and the moments to maybe hand over to, in that World T20 final in Calcutta when he realised Ian Bishop should be calling the final moment, and he sort of gave Bish, even though he was on lead, he gave Bish a little bit of a nudge and said, over to you, Bish. And Bish, the rest is history. Bish called it perfectly with Carlos Brathwaite.
Carlos Brathwaite! Carlos Brathwaite! Remember the name! History for the West Indies. What a match we've had here at Eden Gardens.
He is humble, and he just knows when to be serious and when not to be serious.
Nasser mentions that World T20 final, Bumble. Was there any point when you were, as Nasser also says, on lead that you thought, I want to call this moment, or did that never enter your head? It was down to Bish to do it.
No, it's Bish. And again, it's very nice for what these lovely people are saying. I work with some brilliant people. I work with some fantastic people, production-wise for a start, and then fellow commentators. We know each other. We know where we're going. And I think that's really important. And we know the business technically. And so when you get to that situation, and I'm with Ian Bishop, who I've worked with on a number of occasions, a lot of occasions, he's a great guy for a start. He knows the business. He knows the job. It's his job. He's going to win this. Over to you, mate. And our lad's giving it everything, wasn't it? Our fella's giving it everything. And he's going all around the park. Over to you, Bish. And it's one of the great lines. Remember the name. It's one of the great lines. You get in a bubble. You're in a zone. And everything else is immaterial. And so you just sense that moment, which is important. It's not important for me. It's important for the viewer. This is it. This is when it's going to happen. Now, you just get into a zone and, you may have your headphones on, but you've got your mic and you put it down and you pick it up and you're with somebody who's bloody good and you're bouncing off each other and there's nothing else matters. Nothing. You might have some technical dark. No, I'm not bothered about that. This is what's happening. And you call that moment and it just hits you. And it hits you like an LBW. It's like a flash of lightning. Bang, we're in here. This is it. This is the business. And it's an adrenaline rush. And I'm doing it now. I could be sat here like that. But I'm there. That's where you go. This is it. This is it. It's happening. And we're doing this for the viewer. Now, it's not a viewer. It's millions of them. We're doing it for you.
Moving aside, when you also have some fun when you're on commentary, the advent of these earpieces that the crowd can now wear. Now, you even oversaw a marriage proposal at Lord's. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do indeed.
Oh, look at this. Decision pending. Here we go. And it's on the big screen as well. Decision pending. Round of applause. Have a look at the... Oh, she said yes. Oh, what a decision. Absolutely fantastic. Charan and Pavan, congratulations. What a day.
You always think, oh, this goes all right. Yeah. And she said yes. She turns, she's having a laugh, aren't you? I'm watching the game here. Yeah.
Thing is, though, you started in the radio. Started on TMS. What are your memories of the radio and working with Fred Truman?
Oh, I mean, Brian Johnson, Fred Truman, Trevor Bailey. Oh, fantastic. The Alderman, Don Morsey, Bill Frindle, the bearded wonder. That's vintage. Yeah, a young Jonathan Agnew, young lad, just making his way. It was fabulous. And Fred.
Give us a Fred, Bumble. Give us a Fred. Come on.
Oh, well, I did. I worked with that lad, David Lloyd, from Lancashire. Lovely lad. He couldn't bat. Lovely lad. He's a very ordinary player. And I bowled against him once. I'll tell you the best batsman I ever bowled against was the Great Wally. The Wally Hammond. And then Bill Frindle come in, he looked at his book, he said, it's amazing, that Fred, that you never played against him.
He wasn't very complimentary about Neil Mallender when he was playing at Leeds in a test match. Do you remember that one?
Who is that running in from the Kirkstall Lane end? Neil Mallender, Fred. There are some great bowlers who run in from the Kirkstall Lane end. And he's not one of them. And furthermore, he doesn't look a well man to me. He doesn't look well.
But it worked quite differently from the way radio is done nowadays, where it's quite a conversational thing on commentary. How did it work when you were doing TMS?
Well, the lead commentator, that would be Brian Johnson or Don Morsey, Christopher Martin Jenkins, CMJ, wonderful man. They would be the lead commentator, and the summariser would come in at the end of the over, and he would just summarise what had just gone on and look forward to what might happen. And so you've got probably a 45, 50-second slot that you gave your view, start the next over, and that's called by the main caller, by the commentator. And we were told, if you said, I'm a commentator, no, you're not, you're a summariser. Right. You're not a commentator, you're a summariser. The commentator is the lead caller.
What's more fun, commentary on the radio or commentary on TV?
Well, they're both great. They're both terrific. You know, you're in the game. You've got a good seat more often than not. You're involved in the game. You're talking. You talk. You've got to talk, which is another great line of Fred's. What wonderful line of Fred. When he's on with Brian Johnson, David Gower had declared against the Windies, so that would be Greenwich and Haynes, and they malted to 200 for 1 or something like that. And Johnson, he said, and at the end of the over there, the West Indies are 212 for 1. Nothing. 212 for 1, Fred. Would you like to expand on? No, they're not bad. I'm saying no. Well, the general idea on radio is that someone says something, so I'll continue.
What about the move into TV then? Explain how that happened.
That would be when I finished with England, with the ECB, and I got a call from John Gaylord, who was the producer at Sky, raw-blooded Australian with a ginger beard. And he rang me at 10 minutes to 9, and they knew that there was a press conference that I was leaving ECB at 10 o'clock. He rang me at 10 to 9, and he offered me a job at 10 to 9. And I said, look, I'm going into this meeting. I'll think about it. And as only Gaylord could, he said, yeah, you can think about it for 10 minutes. I'll ring you again at 9. So he rang back at 9, and I chatted to Diana and said, look, we've got to do this. And he said straight away, there's a press conference that you'll speak at this press conference. As soon as it finishes, we'll jump on the back of that and announce that you're working for us.
Were you disappointed with the way it ended there at the end of that World Cup? Were you bitter, or I know you landed on your feet with the job, but would you have liked it to end differently?
I'd like to have progressed. I thought that was a freak that we didn't progress. I mean, there are games, you know, that have been looked at, should we say, in that World Cup, that I thought that we went out on a freak result. And I thought we were better than going out before the thing got going. I think we were a better team than that. It just conspired against us. I thought that we could have done pretty well in that tournament, but myself and the captain wanted Chris Lewis in that team, but we couldn't get that, and I respected that decision from the selectors. I think Chris Lewis would have made a difference, but it's all water under the bridge. I'm not disappointed. I had a great time. I thought we had some fantastic lads. The big, we've been in this for a long time. The massive difference was central contracts. As soon as we got central contracts, lads became England cricketers and not, you know, Essex cricketers, Lancashire cricketers. And this is a bit of icing on the cake. We could prepare properly. We got a bloody good coach in Duncan Fletcher, who was given his head for a start. Duncan were given his head. From 2000 onwards, we've done pretty well. We've done all right.
Again, I mean, those central contracts are pretty much your idea.
Well, yeah, we were floating it around, David Graveney, but there was no money. And so the big money came in after 2005. That was a wonderful series. It was on Channel 4, 2005, England, Australia. The big money came in then. And so English cricket benefited from proper financial structuring. And I'll just say again, I think we've done fine. And I'll say this as a serious point. I've sort of been in it professionally from 16 years of age. So that's, 57 years.
700 years.
I don't think 700 years. I don't think cricket has been better than it is right now, although we have no cricket, which is beyond us. It's something that's awful, this virus. But, the cricket that we've got now is fabulous.
What was he like to play under, Nass? He mentioned Duncan Fletcher. You obviously forged a very close relationship with him as a coach, but what was Bumble like to play under?
Say the polar opposite of Duncan Fletcher. But, you get pigeonholed, Wardy, don't you? And I guess what they pigeonholed Bumble as a coach now was this eccentric coach, like he is a little bit now as a personality, when in fact there were eccentric moments, but he wasn't an eccentric coach. I would say his biggest asset and the thing we loved about Bumble was how loyal he was. There are coaches and captains and individuals that when it's going well, they are the first to go up there and do the media and do the press and say how good it is. And when it's not going so well, they'll send the captain out or send the bowler out. Bumble, when we had bad days, and we had a lot of bad days, he would front up for us. He would be like a Ferguson, a Mourinho, or whatever, he would take the flak, even though in the dressing room, he was giving us a volley of abuse. He would go out, and every time we'd be hanging, crikey, is Bumble going to hang us out to dry here? He would never do that. He'd never hang a player out to dry. And that's what, the "we murdered them" comment, that's where it came from. We drew a game or tied a game in Bulawayo that we should have won. And they hid the ball. They did the tactics and the laws of the game and they used them well. But Bumble saw our frustration and he went out to the media. And instead of giving it the pleasantry that Duncan would have given or that towed the line, Bumble went, "We murdered them." He spoke from the heart for the team.
It should have been compulsive viewing, I'm sure it was. It looked marvellous getting so close, but we've hammered them, we've murdered them. We know it and they know it.
There were eccentric moments. There was Auckland when at lunchtime we came in and we bowled Mullally and whoever had bowled rubbish. He had just gone off onto the football pitch. When we didn't bowl him out, again at Auckland when Danny Morrison batted for a day. There was Melbourne where we had to literally try and find him in the airport to take him to Melbourne because he'd resigned after how bad we'd been in Sydney. There was times in the lift going up in Sydney when we lost that game when I ran down the pitch to warn. I remember him being in the lift and we were going up and he was just chuntering away to himself going, "This is rubbish. We're rubbish. I'm going to have to get rid of all this." And we're all in the lift with him. Going, "Bubble, we are here. We could hear you." He was eccentric, but we loved playing for him. He was so loyal. Seriously, such a good player, a bloke to play for.
Well, I didn't realise, Bumble, and I saw this yesterday somewhere, and after that Zimbabwe comment that Nasser's referring to, we flipping murdered them, there was a poster hung up at the ground. It said, "Wanted, David Lloyd, for the murder of Zimbabwe cricket team, last seen with his finger up his nose talking complete..."
I think that's still there.
But you had your little moments where you just had to take yourself away as England coach and have a bit of a chillax time.
I could blow a gasket at times. I could blow a gasket, but everybody has a different style. You look at Alex Ferguson, and that would be the sort of style that I had, even at Lancs. When I was at Lancs, I'd back him to the hilt, but there'd be times when I'd say, "Right, come and sit down in here. I've got something to say." Now that's your style. That's the way that you do it. But you've got to be honest. The biggest plus for England cricketers was central contracts. But don't forget, Mickey Stewart, Keith Fletcher, Raymond Illingworth. You get these lads for a day and a half before a game. That's all you got them. The day and a half. You don't know them. You don't know these lads. You've got to know your lads. You've got to know the characters. You've got to know each individual. Mark Ramprakash, Graham Meek. You've got to know what makes them tick. And to find that, Nasser Hussain, it might take you 18 months. you won't have that unless you've got central contracts. All you're doing really is a facilitator. These are the nets that we're having. These are the times that we're doing. I'll see you next week. You're an organizer. But, you know, what we did try and do is strengths and weaknesses of the opposition. Look, he gets out here. This is where it keeps getting out. So that's where we should be bowling. That's where majority of our deliveries need to be in that little zone here. That's where he gets out. So that we need a fielder here. But we're working on VHS tapes and huge monitors, not on laptop computers. So it's improved out of sight. And so central contracts were everything for male and now female cricket. They've got everything. They've got all the information. It's a pity. With Jimmy Anderson will look, he'll see, where's this bloke get out? He can do it individually, Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad. Where's this bloke get out? And just look at it, bang, 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 bang. Right, that's where we're bowling.
What about the characters that you had under your charge as England coach?
Mullally just mentioned Mullally. He was that relaxed. He was comatose, Mullally. About Dean Headley. What about him, Dean Headley? I'd just like to say, no. Philip Tufnell, we're going for a run. Well, hang on, I'll just get my facts.
What about one of England's greats, Darren Gough? What was he like to coach?
Brilliant. Darren Gough. I always thought of Goughy. If you put, you know about budgery guys. If you put one of them little things, a budgie's toy that he pecks, a budgie pecks it goes down and comes straight back up. So if you have a dig at Darren, he'll just go boom, bang, straight back up.
All gone. Katic has left it. It's nipped back from just about an off-stump line and rattled his stumps. Gough gets a breakthrough and Katic has gone. England have waited a while for that.
Did you do any camps ahead of Test series or anything like that?
Did all that.
There must have been some classics happening in that time.
Well, the camps were what do they call them? Bonding and team building exercises, which they were terrific. You know, we'd go to La Manga, and we had two good lads. We had a great physio in Wayne Morton and a trainer in Dean Riddle, who was a New Zealand 400-metre runner. And I think we went to Portugal or Spain somewhere, and we did a triathlon sort of thing. We had Dougie Brown, who was fit as a fiddle, Dougie Brown. And you had a partner, and his partner, you put him with one who wasn't so fit, so we put him with Philip Tufnell. So Dougie Brown's with Philip Tufnell, and there was a circuit to do, and there's one of them on a bicycle and the other's running. So Tuffers was on a bike, and Dougie Brown lapped him. So and who is it got? He got the ump. Stewie got the ump. He said, this is downright dangerous because I got these bicycles and they come up with all these bicycles for this triathlon, whatever it is, swimming, running and all that. And I said, right, these bicycles, I want them fixed gear so they can't free wheel. I said, I don't want them to have any brakes, no brakes. They've got to stop by the pedals and no seats. Take all the
saddle off.
Stewie come down a hill and disappeared into this bush. He went, what? This is downright dangerous.
Cricket in whatever guise has taken you around the world, whether that's been as a player, coach, broadcaster. What do you like about touring?
Oh, just with a band of brothers, I would say. You know, we all sort of get on brilliantly. It's all escapades and, you know, we have some great fun and great times when we're cooking for ourselves. And Atherton does breakfast, doesn't he? I'm not sure he's into washing up and that sort of thing.
Washing?
Or washing, yeah. This is my room, if you want to come in here. This is Sir Ian Ward with the camera. Very orderly, I keep it nice and tidy. Just come this way, Sir Ian. That's it. So it's a really nice apartment. And this, of course, is your room, which, again, is very tidy. You kept it nice. That's your own little apartment. We're with Michael Adderton, who went to Cambridge University. He's never lost Cambridge University. Just go in there and have a look round.
Do I have to?
Yeah, this is Michael Adderton's room. It's an absolute blitz, isn't it? He's even got come on. He's got a dressing room. He's got shirts which obviously need a bit of ironing. And this is his bathroom. Don't go in there. He's ready to do a bit of washing. Don't go in the bathroom. Just don't. Who can forget all his underpants everywhere? Oh my goodness.
Well, we shared that place with him in Mount Maunganui, didn't we? He'd only been there 8 hours. He came in after us, and we did that little video skit walking around the place, and that was absolutely true.
Yeah, and so he's still at university, isn't he? But we have a great camaraderie. We do the job right, in my opinion. Some might say we don't, but I think we do it pretty well. We have good fun, and that's the big word. You've got to have some fun when you're away from home. You've got to make sure that everything's right.
It was also in Mount Maunganui, Nass, that you shared a camper van with him.
Mate, that was the worst few days of my life, seriously.
Mine too.
Honestly.
Right, lads. You've been fed, watered. Bumble, you happy?
Perfect, couldn't be better.
All good?
Oh, perfect. It's been brilliant.
Right.
Thanks
Good
for
night,
sorting this,
gentlemen.
Ian.
My pleasure. I'm going off.
Night, Ian.
Hotel.
Good night. Night, Bumble.
Night, Nas.
Night, John Boy.
Night, John Boy.
You know, it's just animals and things that bit you and stuff, and you're just trying to get to sleep. And the 80-year-old man would be getting up every half hour to go to the loo, have a scratch and pass wind, all this sort of stuff. You know, not wearing a lot. It was just the worst week of my life, I have to be honest. Some of the sights I saw on that trip, I just do not want to be repeated ever again.
Wardy.
Yeah.
Before we went on that, I put it to Sky. I said, we want to do part of this in one of them camper vans. And I'm thinking of one of them bespoke movies, which you see all over the place.
Certainly wasn't that.
Our producer is like a Scouse hippie, this bloke. And he decides he gets this vintage thing, which is an absolute death trap with no brakes. It started raining, he put the wipers on and they fell off in the middle of the road. There's 2 ferocious dogs chasing us. If they'd have got us, they'd have killed us. And this bloke, he's our producer, he's a hippie from Liverpool.
Well, we had 3 of those vans and we broke 3, I think.
Broke 3 of them. And another thing, me and Hussain had 5 days off in New Zealand again at Taupo. And we stayed in the same travel lodge, and he didn't speak to me for 5 days.
I was asking a few people stories of you touring, and I got in touch with our old boss, Barney, who has gone on to bigger and better things than just cricket. And he reckoned your usual pattern on tour is this. Week 1, out every night. Weeks 2 to 4, out occasionally in the evening, but concentrating on work. Weeks 5 to 7, like a recluse. Plate of oysters and off to bed to iron his socks.
Are you saying I run out of steam?
But what's your favourite place to tour? I mean, New Zealand would be right up there with the oysters and all the stuff like that you love.
Yeah, New Zealand, great mates, Simon Doole, Ian Smith, flipping Styris as well. You got to put him in. And Macmillan, yeah. Australia, you know, never tire of going there. Caribbean is fantastic. They're all great. I'll tell you where's great. I'll tell you, it's a great shame we don't go. Pakistan is really good. I enjoy going to Pakistan. Yeah, I hope we can get back there sometime.
We missed out on Sri Lanka as well, which is another fantastic place to
lovely.
tour.
It's lovely Sri Lanka. It's too hot for me. It's stinking hot, isn't it? You get burnt there in Sri Lanka.
Bumble, what about the state of, you mentioned the state of cricket and your huge admiration of this era. What about the state of broadcasting and cricket broadcasting in general? And what advice would you give a young upstart just starting his way in cricket broadcasting now?
Well, you've got to do the hard yards. I don't think it's just walk straight in and get on with it. There's a discipline to it, and you know, we differentiated between radio and TV. There's a more disciplined approach in television because you've got 8 counts and there's lots of visuals that have to be brought in, and so there's a way to do it on television. And you know, the rule of thumb would be quite boring. That if you've something to say, you pick your microphone up, you put your microphone right to your lips. It's a directional microphone. When you finish speaking, put it down, and only pick it up when you've anything to say. You pick it back up. There's a monitor in front of you. You work off the monitor. Don't watch the game. You know, that's something that you've got to really drill into younger commentators. You do not watch the game. You watch the monitor that's going into people's homes, because that's what you're talking about. So, you know, little things like that. Find the moment. Less is more is always something. You don't have to talk. Shut up. Shut up. The best one was Richie Benno. He blanked twice. You know, when they have 3 in a row, Channel 9, 3 in a row, 3 commentators in a row. Michael Slater tells it brilliantly. That a fella rung in to Channel 9 and said that was absolutely brilliant commentary. These younger people should listen to Richie Benno. That's how to do it. He never said a word. he never uttered for half an hour. And Slater tells it brilliantly that on 2 occasions, Richie had nothing to say nothing.
What was it like commentating and working with Channel 9?
Brilliant. Really enjoyed it, Channel 9. Great set of lads. Tubby Taylor, Healy, Bill. I had flipping goosebumps when I worked with Bill.
It's a wonderful experience sitting next to 2 top-order batsmen for a change instead of all those fast bowlers and wicket-keepers.
Yeah, it's a bit different in here. We haven't got the room that you guys have in the Channel 9. We're all crammed in here. Atherton has to walk across the top of here to get to his position.
You're having the time of your life. I saw you fishing in Perth, casting.
Snipe cage, a shark cage. I've been in one of them.
Ian Chappell, brilliant, absolutely fantastic broadcaster. I had the time of my life. It was really good fun. McNamara was the producer. Get on with it, boys. Get on with it. Tony Gregg. Oh, I'm telling you, British people.
Were you nervous when you went on commentary with Bill Lawry?
Unbelievably nervous with Bill. You know, he's one of your old-time heroes. I think he's so special. He just does he did. He won't be doing any now. He just did the Melbourne Test. I mean, I couldn't resist it. Here's the MCG. There's 90,000 in, and I'm waiting my moment. I'm waiting. I'm going to get this in. Pause. I'll tell you what, Bill. This is a half-decent ground, this.
We also had the, I don't know how to describe it, the privilege is probably not the right word, but we interviewed Billy Birmingham, who of course did the 12th Man tapes, which made the Channel 9 commentators sort of cult heroes, not only in Australia, but around the world. That was some more slightly frightening television interview I think I've ever done, because I didn't know what was going to come out of his mouth, but those tapes and the way he did it was brilliant.
2 for 22 and what a catch. And I just thought, I said to all my mates, did you guys know that Richie sounded like this? And they said, no, had no idea. And then, of course, you know, when the whole thing started, and we had Tony Gregg there, and Tony was, you know, hard and fast, and Glenn McGrath really has mastered the art of fast bowling in the last good. I just used to lace the script with all of those broad vowel sounding. And then Bill Lawry, of course. How over the top was he? Did you love it with him, Melbourne, with him?
Absolutely.
I got him, yes, Bumble.
If you're into cricket, you've got the tapes. You've got the 12th Man tapes. Wired World of Sport, weren't they? And of course, Richie Benno liked them, but he didn't like the swearing. There's a fair amount of swearing. And Richie, or Billy Birmingham doing Richie, put a fair amount of swearing in. And that Richie didn't like that aspect of it. But I think secretly he would like it. Nice to see you in the kitchen. Yeah, he'd love all that. I'm telling you. Oh.
What do we do when we come in the morning? Everybody does it as we come in. Absolutely.
There's Richie in the shower. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2, 2, 2.
Already started this with listing all the things you've done in the sport. Out of all those things, and there were a number, which gave you the most pleasure?
Well, you never substitute playing. Playing is what you set off as a little lad with all your dreams and your ambitions. So there's always that sadness, you know, you'll know yourselves that when that day comes and you've got to stop playing. We've been very fortunate that we've stayed in the game. So there's no substitute for playing, but I absolutely love what I do now. We're watching the best players in the world. We're able to comment on it, work with some great people. Long may it continue.
We hope to see you behind the mic at some stage this season, Bumble, coronavirus permitting. Great to speak to you. Stay well.
You too, guys.